So, good morning, everyone. Good morning. We are about to begin the press conference for the National Minority Donor Awareness Month. Thank you. We're going to kick it off now. And we will begin with Ms. Loretta Bush, President and CEO for Authority Health and Authority Health Centers.
Thank you, Tamika. Well, good morning. And welcome to Authority Health. As Tamika said, I'm Loretta Bush. I'm the President and CEO for Authority Health and the Authority Health Centers. It gives me great pleasure on behalf of the Board of Directors and our executive leadership team. I am pleased to welcome the Gift of Life Michigan, the Michigan Department of State, the Detroit MOTAP, our community partners, members of the media, and all of you for joining us today. We are especially proud to serve as the host for today's press conference, which recognizes National Minority Donor Awareness Month. Now, we see this as an opportunity to encourage diverse communities to learn about organ, eye, and tissue donation, but also to make an informed decision about joining the donor registry. This gathering is especially meaningful to me because just last week, my husband Ron and I had the privilege of serving as honorary co-chairs of the MOTEP Life Walk Run at Detroit's River Rouge Park. The event brought together our community partners and brought together our community around hope, health, and life-saving decisions. And here we are today, carrying that message forward, encouraging people to take care of their health, to have those important conversations with our families, and to consider a decision that could one day save someone's life. Now, at Authority Health, we see today's conversation also through the lens of prevention. The body keeps score. Stress, poor sleep, chronic illness, and years of societal determinants and personal choices eventually show up in our health. Taking care of ourselves today is how we stay ahead of tomorrow's challenges. Regular visits with your healthcare provider, which at Authority Health, we're going to take every opportunity to encourage that. Preventative screenings and identifying small problems before they become serious ones. To the extent that we can, let's make a commitment to focus on managing stress, eating well, staying healthy, staying active, and managing conditions such as diabetes and high blood pressure. However, we know that prevention alone will not eliminate the need for transplantation. Today, more than 2,600 people in Michigan are waiting for life-saving organ transplant. Nationally, more than 100,000 people are waiting, and nearly 60% of those waiting are from multicultural communities. And I'm sure you're going to hear about that, more data as our partners come forward. That is why we need both sides of this conversation. We need to help people prevent disease and protect their health while also making sure families have trusted, accurate, and culturally responsive information about organ, eye, and tissue donation. And healthcare providers have a particularly important role to play because trusted conversations between patients and their providers can make all the difference in the world. That principle is also reflected in the new Patient Access to Donor Registration Information Law, which creates additional opportunities for healthcare providers to discuss donation and donor registry with their patients. Now, I do have a call to action today. It's only 3 quick points. I hope today's conversation will encourage you to do at least these 3 things. 1, take better care of your health. Second, talk to the people you love about donation. And then 3, make an informed decision about becoming a donor. Authority Health is honored to stand alongside organizations that are doing this great work every day. And we are proud to provide a home for today's important conversation. Thank you for joining us as we recognize National Minority Donor Awareness Month and continue working towards healthier communities and helping more people access life-saving transplantation. Now, it is indeed my pleasure to introduce a tremendous partner in this work, the President and CEO of Gift of Life Michigan, Dory Deals. You are welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Loretta, for your kind words and for hosting us today. I'm Dory Dells. I'm the president and CEO with Gift of Life Michigan, and it's my honor to be here today to represent my team of about 400 people who facilitate the organ and tissue donation process in the state of Michigan. I'm also proud to be here with the Michigan Department of State and the Detroit MOTEP Foundation to host today's event. As Loretta mentioned, this is National Minority Donor Awareness Month, and it's an opportunity for us to pause and think about the importance of organ and tissue donation, particularly in minority communities. 30 years ago, Dr. Clive Callender created MOTEP, which stands for the let me correct that. The National Minority Organ and Tissue Transplant Education Program, which is a mouthful, but we call it MOTEP, which is really an opportunity to talk with our communities about organ and tissue donation. But it is, as Loretta mentioned, also an opportunity to talk about health, for people to be aware of what may prevent kidney disease or what is happening in your body that may lead to the need for a transplant. And that was Dr. Callender's vision, was to have those conversations with your care provider and in your communities and hopefully prevent the need for transplant. But as Loretta mentioned, as we stand here today, there are 2,600 people who are waiting for that life-saving gift in the state of Michigan and over 100,000 nationally. And those are so much more than numbers. They're people's brothers, sisters, mothers, their children, their fathers, and they're waiting for that call, for that life-saving gift to come. And we know that those numbers actually dramatically underrepresent all who could benefit from organ donation. We know that there are millions of people, for example, that are on dialysis, and many of them could benefit from a kidney transplant given the opportunity. We also know that in minority communities, the need is greater. There are higher risks of diabetes and hypertension and things that lead to kidney disease. And being aware of those health factors and preventing the kidney disease from occurring in the first place is also a priority for us. Furthermore, we know that while organs are not matched by race, we do know that recipients with similar ethnicity have a higher probability of both matching and a successful transplant. And that's why we are continuing to encourage minority communities to sign up in the registry. And Michigan has made a lot of progress in that area. In just 2020, about 30% of Michiganders who are in multicultural communities were registered in the Michigan Organ Donor Registry. And last year, that number was 55%. And we're very proud of that partnership with MOTEP to provide that education, to provide people with the information that they need to check that box to say yes to donation. And through our partnership with the Secretary of State and through MOTEP, we've been able to make that happen. Also, as Loretta mentioned, just last month, Governor Whitmer did sign the Patient Access to Donor Registry Information Act into law. And what that will allow is encouraging healthcare providers, physicians and nurse practitioners in their offices, in urgent cares, to have conversations with their patients about organ and tissue donation, to make sure that they understand any questions that they might have and that they know how to say yes to donation. And we know that people want that information from their physician. They want that from a trusted healthcare partner. And that's why this act is so important and why Gift of Life Michigan certainly supported it. It's also very fitting that we're here at Authority Health, which is an organization that focuses on improving access to healthcare and connecting patients with reliable information. And at our core, that's what Gift of Life Michigan is trying to do, to address concerns, myths, things that people may see in the media that simply aren't true, that prevent them from saying yes. We know that education is the absolute key to increasing organ and tissue donation. So I want to thank everyone here who helped make this day possible, helps continue to educate Michiganders about the need for donation in your communities. Gift of Life Michigan is a very proud partner. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the Michigan Deputy Secretary of State, Agogo Adavia, who will give his remarks. So thank you.
Thanks for having us here today. I want to start out by saying thank you to the Gift of Life Michigan, to MOTEP, and for so many who are doing so much important work, changing and saving lives, and ultimately educating communities and bringing awareness to this incredible process. At the Secretary of State's office, we're proud to partner with these amazing organizations. Thanks to the growing registry, deaths on Michigan's wait list are down 34%. 34%. Our goal is to continue to increase the number of organ donors so that we can save even more lives. Michigan is a diverse state, and to do this, we need to educate as many people as we can, and that includes communities of color. That's why this National Minority Donor Awareness Month, we are working to talk about the importance of donations from communities of color, highlighting donor families, transplant recipient stories, and to combat myths and misconceptions. There are so many things that we're doing as a state, including MOTEP, which is an amazing organization. And thanks to their efforts and partnership, we're reaching out to more people than we ever have before. There are a lot of misconceptions about organ donation, especially in communities of colors. And these concerns are very valid, and because historically, the medical community hasn't always treated us well. And I want to address these misconceptions head on, because the truth is, organ donation is ethical and it's safe. And the more we break down these misconceptions, the more lives that can be saved. First of all, doctors have to work just as hard to save your life, even if you're an organ donor. A person can only be a donor once they're dead. That includes brain death, where a patient permanently loses all brain function. Recovery is not possible once that happens. And brain death is determined at the hospital by the patient's medical team. And this is a critical part. That team is never part of the transplant process. They're completely separate. Brain death is not reversible. And in that way, it is different from a coma, where a person in a coma cannot even be considered for organ donation. It's important that we share this information because Black Americans are more likely to need an organ transplant and yet are less likely to be an organ donor. We're making progress towards closing that gap. Registrations from communities of color have increased from 33% to 55% since 2020. Transplants for Black patients have increased by 29%. Simply put, Black lives are being saved by organ donation. That means more lives and more people are being given another chance at life, a chance to spend more time with their families, to achieve their dreams, to grow old, and those people deserve those opportunities. Right now, 60% of the transplant wait list is made up of individuals from multicultural communities. So far, by closing the gaps in the numbers and the diversity of donors, we can save lives within our community and beyond. I'm proud to be an organ donor myself, and I encourage everyone here in Michigan to join the registry too. In Michigan, we respect your right to make your own donation decision. That's why signing up is simple, confidential, and it does not require further authorization or paperwork. You can sign up online at a Secretary of State branch or online when you're renewing your driver's license. and you can always change your mind at a later time. So once again, I want to thank Gift of Life Michigan, MOTAP for your partnership, and I want to thank every organ donor in Michigan for all that you've contributed to this process, especially the donor families and transplant recipients. Your stories are wonderful and they're powerful. So to every Michigander listening, I encourage you to become an organ donor, to talk to your friends, your family, and neighbors about doing the same. The math is simple. The more people join, the more lives that we can save together. And now I'd like to introduce Lauren Royal, a funeral director from Clinton Township, because she has a wonderful story to tell us all. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Adavier, and good morning, everyone. Thank you to Gift of Life and MOTEP for having me today. As mentioned, my name is Lauren Royal, and I am a grateful liver transplant recipient from Detroit, post 7 years. At the age of 13, through routine blood work, my primary care physician noticed elevated liver enzymes and referred me to a pediatric hepatologist. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease that ultimately led to cirrhosis of the liver. Through the progression of the cirrhosis and the changes in my body, I experienced symptoms such as jaundice, fatigue, nausea, itchiness, rashes, and hyperpigmentation. These things changed my appearance drastically, which led to depression. Around the age of 28, I recall lying in bed in such pain I could barely move. When I arrived at the hospital, that's when we were advised just how much things had progressed and my need for transplant was imperative. After an entire year of workups, countless meetings with doctors, planning and preparing with my family, I was added to the transplant list in January of 2019. I received my first call on my birthday, March 1st, and my second call a few days later. Unfortunately, neither of those organs were viable. With my mother's birthday approaching, I asked her, "What would you like for your birthday?" To which she responded, "A liver for you." I received my third and final call on Easter Sunday, April 21st, 2019, and I was successfully transplanted the following day, April 22nd, my mother's birthday. If anyone asks, does God answer prayers? I believe he does. He did in this case. My transplant took place at the prestigious Henry Ford Hospital main campus by the skillful division chief, Dr. Yoshida, whom I had the pleasure of encountering a few months ago at the Champions Gala. I was brought to tears speaking with the man who essentially saved my life. He was equally ecstatic to engage with the patient years post-transplant, as this is not a part of the journey that most doctors get to witness. I am thankful that I can stand before you all, no longer plagued by the symptoms mentioned before, ulcerative colitis and non-alcoholic fatty disease free. That would not be possible without the selfless act of my donor. Words will never be able to express the gratitude and emotions that I feel to be given a second chance and the honor that I have. To my donor and his family, thank you for the gift of life. Before my need for transplant, the myths surrounding transplant and donation is all that I was privy to. The preconceived notion that if you register to be a donor, your organs will be harvested and sold, or that if you're born with it, you should die with it. This miseducation keeps so many from knowing the truth. Therefore, educational outreach is critical. Through impact and experience, I am able to advocate, help change others' perception, and spread awareness through my story, as well as my occupation as a funeral director. I thank those who selflessly choose to donate. We know that ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is a lack of knowledge, and we know that knowledge is definitely power when it comes to saving lives through organ donations. It is now my honor to introduce someone whose had a tremendous impact in this field, Dr. Norman Silas. Dr. Norman is a transplant nephrologist, clinical professor of medicine, co-medical director of kidney and pancreas transplantation for University of Michigan Health, and board director of Detroit MOTEP. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Norman. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I think we just heard why we do what we do. I want to thank Ms. Bush and Authority Health for having us here this morning and for helping promote National Minority Donor Awareness Month. This month that we're celebrating was actually created 30 years ago by our founder, Dr. Clive Callender, originally as National Minority Donor Awareness Week, and then later expanded to a month. So that we might take the opportunity to better educate everyone, but with a focus on the multicultural community about the need for organ and tissue donation. As we think about this month, we know that there are some differences by ethnicity in those who are most likely to develop end organ disease. As you've heard, we also have an overrepresentation of individuals from the multicultural community on the transplant waiting list. So we have a special task ahead of us. We also know, as Dory alluded to, that there are some differences in the frequencies of blood types by ethnicity, as well as some of the proteins that we use to match for transplant, such that these things can limit access to life-saving transplants without more donors from the multicultural community. MOTEP was founded by Dr. Clive Callender, a transplant surgeon, with two goals in mind. One was to increase the number of minority donors, and the second was to prevent the need for transplantation through health promotion and education. And in the last 30 years, we've been quite successful, I think, for two reasons. The first is that MOTEP has been able to serve as a trusted voice for the multicultural community and to be able to bring disease prevention and transplant information directly to communities through efforts like Meet the Moment, which is a campaign we have really focused on young African-American men who we know have the highest risk for developing end-stage kidney disease of any population, and community events to bring people together, like Life Walk, which we just had 2 weeks back, which helps us to see that there's really a community of those of us in transplantation recipients, people waiting, donor families, and this whole infrastructure to support and bring people these life-saving organs. The second reason we've been successful is through partnerships. We have been able to partner with like-minded organizations like Gift of Life Michigan, with donor families and their organizations, transplant centers, businesses, city and state leadership, and organizations like Authority Health. And you've seen and heard this morning the great successes we've had over the last 30 years with growth of registered donors from the multicultural community and transplants in that population, which helps everyone. Despite that, we know that there are still some challenges. As mentioned, there are some 2,600 Michiganders who are still waiting for these life-saving organs. So this is a challenge, but I know that we can continue to meet this challenge just as we have for the last 30 years, partnering together and working together to make our communities healthier. So I thank you for coming this morning, celebrating with us, and I look forward to continuing to partner and work to make our communities healthier. Thank you.
All right, that concludes our formal program. So thank you all for being here, and I hope you'll go home, share this information with your family and friends, and sign up to be an organ donor. So thank you all. Thank you again, Loretta. Good job. That's great.
And if we have any questions from the media, if there are any questions from the media? Okay. If not, what we'll do is we will have the presenters to stay back for a couple of photos, and then we'll invite others to come up. Thank you very much.